This is the Diamond Hawgs Podcast with Mason Choate and Robert Stewart.
Welcome to the Diamond Hawgs Podcast. I'm your host, Mason Choate, joined by Robert Stewart and Christian Cheatham, producer Christian. Arkansas is 3-1. Barely beat Grambling. We're going to talk about the Grambling game. We got a series this weekend at Bob Walker Stadium, Eastern Illinois, Arkansas versus Eastern Illinois. Tony Romo, right? That's where he went?
Jimmy Garoppolo, too.
Oh, yeah, Jimmy G. So we're going to talk about that.
Hey, there's more football to be discussed on this podcast, by the way.
Why?
I'll explain later.
Okay.
I did my research.
Okay. Well, a lot to get to. We got to talk about who's going to be the Saturday starter. We got to talk about the third base dilemma. A lot of good stuff on today's episode of the Diamond Hawgs Podcast, which is brought to you by Matt Morris State Farm. We love Matt Morris State Farm. He helped us get over to Arlington to cover the college baseball showdown, and he's your good neighbor. I mean, if you want great rates on your insurance, if you want great rates on your car insurance, your life insurance, your home insurance, go to Matt Morris State Farm. I use Matt Morris State Farm, and you should use Matt Morris State Farm as well, because he's just a great guy, and you can get those great rates when you call Matt Morris State Farm. I'm pulling up the phone number right now. The phone number, 501-568-3222. He can cover anybody in the state of Arkansas. You don't just have to be in Central Arkansas with that 501, but his number is 501-568-3222. Matt Morris State Farm.
Like a great neighbor, Matt Morris is there.
Yeah. That's really cringy.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Also visit HawgBeat.com. We're part of the HawgBeat Podcast Network, HawgBeat.com. I am the managing editor of HawgBeat.com. Robert, designated baseball boy of HawgBeat.com. We also have Jackson Collier, who helps us with basketball coverage, and Daniel Fair doing football recruiting. Great stuff at HawgBeat.com. Robert, for a second there, it looked like Arkansas was going to lose to Grambling.
That's why the game's 9 innings. I mean, if you look around the SEC, it could have been worse for Arkansas.
It could have been.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty, but they got it done. I mean,
spin it out, buddy.
The comment that Dave Van Horn made in January, deepest pitching staff he's ever had.
We knew it was going to come back to bite him in the butt.
Right. It's being tested early, and it's being tested by guys such as Zach Morris and Will McIntyre, guys we didn't expect to test it, right?
Well, I mean, we saw them struggle in scrimmages, but we were just like, whatever.
They're facing their own team.
They just need to see a new team, and here they are seeing the Grambling Tigers on a Tuesday afternoon in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and Will McIntyre. I mean, I was writing a story earlier because, we watched it in real time, but you always forget things. Or you watch it and there's so much going on that you just kind of move on from it. His line shows he gave up 4 hits and 1 earned run. I mean, he was a Koty Frank first pitch double play away. That helped him to make that line look a little bit prettier, but bases were loaded, 1 out when Koty Frank comes in. First pitch from Frank, double play. McIntyre's line could have looked a lot worse.
It could have been real bad. And let's not forget, after Morris got yanked in the 4th, there were 2 outs. McIntyre gives up an RBI single. Runner gets caught stealing on the next pitch. So, he got bailed out twice.
Yeah.
It was not pretty. It's not like they got hit hard or anything. But
it was
but it's like they were getting ahead in the counts. Dave Van Horn mentioned this. They were up 0-2, and then you lose the guy. When you get ahead in the count, you got to put them away, especially for veteran pitchers like those two.
I agree. But you look at it. Mention Koty Frank. He's been great so far. Brady Tigert. He's been the Brady Tigert that we remember from last season. Not the end of last season, but when he was dominant last season. That's the Brady Tigert we've seen so far. Only 2 outings, but. I mean, if you can get that out of those guys, and then if you can get, a guy like Cody Adcock to do well, get McIntyre and Morris to figure it out at some point, which you would think they will, right? You don't think that this is going to be – this is not what you're expecting from those 2 guys for the rest of the year. It's just been a bad start.
No, I think fans need to exercise patience with them. I think that's what you're going to see from the coaching staff. You know, maybe McIntyre gets pulled from the rotation, gets a couple, you know, maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks even to work on himself. But he's going to find himself in the rotation again this season. He's going to find himself there, and I think he's going to be effective. But those two guys you mentioned, Koty Frank and Brady Tigert, wrote a story about them on HawgBeat. You should go check it out. Anyway, we're in our reporters group chat. We were talking about this. If Hagen Smith and Hunter Holland can be the consistent starters that they have been so far, I mean, Frank and Tigert have proven that they can pitch multiple times in a weekend and get more than 3 outs. So, you know, your dream scenario is you only ever need 3 guys to pitch on Friday and Sunday.
Yeah.
And then Saturday, you know, you just figure it out as you go.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, like, your Friday and Sunday you feel great about.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Hagen Smith, Hunter Holland, who we plan on having on the podcast next week, Hunter Holland.
Mm-hmm.
But it's that Saturday, you got to figure it out, you know. I think they will. You know, this is the second weekend of the season.
Right. It's way too early to panic or really draw conclusions about anything.
But hearing from Dave Van Horn that Saturday is likely going to be TBA means that, you know, he's a little worried about it. And
Sure.
And he's the head hog, so.
And here's one thing that I want to throw out there. Just because Will McIntyre, the Saturday guy, has started off poorly, that doesn't mean you should move Hunter Holland up to Saturday.
No.
Leave him on Sunday.
Yes. Keep Hunter Holland on Sunday. I mean, he said it himself. That's the role that he wants.
Right.
So, because if Arkansas's up 2-0 in the series, they're going to sweep. If it's tied 1-1, they're going to win. That's what Hunter Holland said. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but
correct.
He did not mention what if Arkansas is down 0-2.
Well, then they're screwed.
Yeah. So maybe Hunter Holland just doesn't. Maybe he chooses not to throw. Like, if I cannot get the sweep or win the series, I don't want to throw. I don't think. I mean, he's not going to do that, but
that would be a bold move.
It would be a bold move. Christian, do you have anything to add into this pitcher conversation? I don't know how much of Tuesday's game you got to watch.
Yeah, I don't really have much to add right now. I mean, it looked ugly at times, but I have no idea who's going to pitch on Saturday.
Yeah, no, that's a great transition, by the way. There you go.
I think it's got to be Cody Adcock.
Adcock.
Dave mentioned he is a candidate to start after the Globe Life tournament.
He also mentioned that Koty Frank is a candidate to start after Grambling.
He did mention that. But I would give Adcock the starting nod first, I think, and then go to Frank if Adcock doesn't work out. I think Frank has proven to everyone that he needs to be a multi-inning guy out of the pen.
Yeah. I want to put this out there. So we have Tavian Josenberger as our Moneyball guy. You know, we're going to have his back no matter what. By the way, great game on Tuesday for the brand.
Oh, yeah. 5 plate appearances, 4 reached 4 times.
2 walks and 2 hits.
Mm-hmm.
Great for the brand.
Oh, yeah.
I think Koty Frank is going to be our guy on the mound. Are we good with that?
I mean,
as a podcast?
If he keeps it up like this, then yeah.
Because it can't, you know, you got to pick a guy. It's not like we can go out there and say, like, Peyton Stovall's our guy. You know, like, because
that would be too easy.
It would be too easy. He's the star of the team. We can't say Hagen Smith is our guy, you know, because he's the ace. He's the Friday night guy. Is Hagen Smith going to be really good? Yes. But you need one of those guys that, you know, that needs a little push. And I'm not saying Koty Frank needs that push, but I want him to be our guy.
Like a branding push.
Yeah. Are we cool with that?
I guess so. I'm a big Wegner fan, but...
Well, I'm talking about pitcher.
Okay.
You can be a Wegner guy, too, but...
Huge Wegner fan.
Okay. Robert?
I'm on board with Koty Frank.
All right, we got to figure out some kind of... the Frank's Hot Dogs, the brand.
Could be.
We got to figure something out to like Frank's Red Hot. Ooh.
Except he doesn't really throw gas, though, so, you know.
Yeah. Anybody listening, if you can figure out a good play on words or something that we can do when Koty Frank does well. Like, because for Wegner, I do have something. Wegner Tank, is that what it is?
Yeah.
So I got the Wegner Tank. We got Tavian Josenberger with the Moneyball. Hagen's
Ballpark Franks. I don't know, something.
Yeah. We'll figure something out. And then of course Hagen Smith with the ace card. So. Anyways, yeah, Koty Frank, he could start on Saturday, but like you said, I like him out of the pen.
Yep. I mean, he faced 8 hitters on Tuesday and retired. He got 8 outs.
Yeah.
He did allow a walk, but he made up for it with the double play on his first pitch.
Yeah.
I mean, he takes the mound in a 4-run deficit. He leaves the game in a tie. Like, that was all Arkansas needed to come out on top of that game, is just to have one pitcher go in and settle it down, and that's what happened.
Yeah, him and Brady Tigert with the 4 2/3 innings of scoreless ball.
Yeah,
that was big. I mean, it's Grambling, but it's
7
big.
Ks.
Yeah,
1 walk, 2 hits.
It was big. How about that dude throwing like 67?
Oh man, he was
slicing
Bugs Bunny changeups left and right, carving them up.
I put something on our board, and this is like no offense to Brady Slavens whatsoever, but that pitcher was born into this world for one reason and one reason only, and that's to pitch to guys like Brady Slavens.
They're swinging for the fences, thinking they can hit, high 60s cheese to the moon.
If he's throwing that ball like 83, Slavens is putting it in the road, But I could have gone out there and thrown 67.
Right. Shout out to Brady Slavens with that RBI double in the 5th, though.
Yeah.
That was big.
Yeah.
The double plays were interesting on Tuesday.
3 inning-ending double plays.
And 2 of them weren't ground outs. Liners to left, liners to... Dude, that one to second, the vertical on the second baseman, Josenberg was it was like a 50-inch vertical. That was crazy.
Yeah. No, so those were... It's tough to say that it was bad base running because I think everybody in the ballpark thought both of them were getting down. So there are 2 instances where they got caught leaning on first and pitcher throws it over to first. Jason Jones got safe at second. Who was it that was out? I can't remember. I think it was Stovall.
Stovall got... Yeah, so Josenberger was on third. Stovall was on second. Stovall was reading it like it was dropping. Josenberger was...
No, I'm talking about the pickoff attempts. I'm not talking about the double plays.
The pickoff attempts.
The pitcher, he tried to pick him off at first base. Jason Jones and Peyton Stovall got caught leaning. Jones was safe at second. Didn't even do the pickle where he's going back and forth. He just went straight to second. Stovall did the same thing, but he was out at second. I don't know why he doesn't remember this.
No, Stovall stole second also.
They called him safe?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, then they were both safe.
There was a lot of running in that game.
Yeah.
Base running, stolen bases.
Yeah. I want to move on from Grambling.
We should do that.
Honest with you.
Real quick, let's hit the other midweeks because there were some losses in the SEC.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
USF 7-run, top of the 9th to beat Florida on Wednesday.
That was tough. For Florida.
Louisiana Monroe, 11-5 win in Starkville over the Bulldogs.
Lamo. What? And then Mississippi State won the next day, right?
Correct.
With their ambidextrous. The ambidextrous.
And the switch pitcher, that's right.
What did he throw 97 with one and 91 with the other? Which one was which?
I don't remember.
He's slower with his left.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. Tell me this though. Does he have a glove that he can just put on either hand at the same time? He does?
I know I've seen him before. I don't know if he does specifically.
How does that work?
Because when you go batter to batter, yeah, he probably does have one that flips. It's got 6 fingers in it.
That would make sense. So you have thumbs on both sides. You don't want to throw gloves back and forth between every at bat.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll just send you some. I've seen him before. Yeah.
Huh.
That guy Pat Venditti, is that his name? Yeah. He
pitched in the show, right?
Too, I think.
That's cool.
This guy Durangelo, I don't know what his last name is, but his first name
C, right?
First name's Durangelo. Is he a freshman?
He's a freshman.
Good Lord, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we'll have that to look forward to when we go to Starkville later this season.
Well, I mean, if he's throwing, he started a midweek. Arkansas started Ben Bybee in the midweek. So it's Ben Bybee. That was out of left field a little bit. I didn't expect him to get the start.
I mean, he threw the best out of the unexperienced guys over the weekend, so
yeah,
he gets the starting nod.
I didn't think he was awful.
He wasn't.
He had his high fastball working for him pretty well.
I mean, once he gave up the home run, he settled down. He was fine.
Yeah. What was the other midweek? A&M
Two
lost,
other
right?
ones. Lamar beat A&M 7-4 in College Station, and how could we forget about Central Arkansas beating Vanderbilt?
Oh, UCA, the Conway boys.
Yeah.
Forgot about that one. Shout out Conway.
So three top 10 SEC teams lost midweeks this game.
I want to throw this out there. And this has, when you said A&M, it reminded me of my future from last year. As a podcast, we need to all decide on a future that we're going to bet. And it can't be Arkansas because we cover the team. So, right now,
We'll get to thinking.
it needs to be good odds, though. Like, we're not going to take LSU.
Well, regardless of what the odds are, we're not taking LSU.
No, I don't think. I mean, they're not going to make the College World Series. History says.
Yeah,
not-
I mean,
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
the last 3 years would indicate that is not happening.
Uh,
That is the good bet to take.
I don't like Tennessee.
Of course you don't.
I cannot in my right conscience bet Tennessee. Like I can't. I will never do that.
We'll go with it.
I'm trying to think of other teams. We'll do research and then we'll do this. Stanford. Yeah, no, I don't like.
They
No.
always kind of choke.
Yeah.
Not
The
choke.
thing is, we could just go down the list of odds-on favorites and be like,
Yeah. Well, it's too early to tell with anybody.
Exactly.
You know what? Okay.
Do we need to set a deadline for this
The deadline needs to be
conference play?
the start of conference play.
March 17th.
Yeah.
Are Auburn? Hogs open with Auburn?
Yes.
Okay. By the Auburn series preview,
We
will have-
have a future, and it's going to be a significant amount of money. Because we all need to ride this out together. You know,
Agreed.
okay.
the issue is like it needs to be relevant because if we're talking, we're gonna talk about it on the podcast. So probably an SEC team. Because like it would be weird if we're talking about like East Carolina.
No, yeah. Or like a big California school. Or
Yeah.
That's just, yeah. That could do it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on.
Let's proceed.
Eastern Illinois. Robert, take us through.
Okay, so I mentioned football. You got two football names on this team. The leadoff hitter, Lincoln Riley,
The Lincoln Riley.
the guy who defected from Norman, Oklahoma to Los Angeles.
He's playing for
Playing
Eastern
college
Illinois?
baseball in Eastern Illinois, wherever that is.
Wow.
What a diverse portfolio he's got.
I know, right? Anyway,
It's not Lincoln Riley.
it's not.
But it is a Lincoln Riley. It's not the Lincoln Riley.
He's hitting 364 at the top of their order, so
Nice.
that makes him cooler than the other Lincoln Riley. I think
I don't think so.
I would take a
I don't think
364
so.
leadoff
I
hitter
don't think so.
against a
I don't think
coach
so.
who
I don't think so.
isn't
I don't
very
think so.
nice to the media.
Go ahead.
Anyway, they swept Florida A&M over the weekend. I was curious about how impactful of a series sweep that was, so I looked at some RPI numbers. Florida A&M's at 219, Eastern Illinois is at 166, Arkansas is at 59.
Dang, Grambling is ahead of Eastern Illinois. I guess
Yep.
they're like what 1-3 now. Grambling is. Huh. Wow.
The teams that were in Arlington ahead of Arkansas in the RPI are Oklahoma State, Missouri, and TCU. 54, 50, and 44 respectively.
Okay. Cool.
Got the Eastern Illinois pitching rotation. Mason, you want to take a shot at the ace?
Here we go. Blake Malatestinic.
We'll go with it.
Testinic. Yeah, that's got to be it. Malatestinic.
I can't wait to hear the pronunciation and then we correct it.
Yeah, like Sonny DiChiara. This dude's 5'9", 170.
He's a tiny little redshirt senior.
Eesh.
Right-hander that had a 6.32 ERA last season. As the ace in the Florida A&M series, gave up 4 earned runs and 5 1/3. So, numbers don't really jump off the page by any means. Tyler Conklin is the other football name I was referring to. Jets tight end for you NFL fans out there.
Yeah.
5'11", 190 sophomore right-hander. Threw on Saturday, 4.8 ERA in 2022. 30 innings pitched. Didn't really start that often. Only 3 starts and 12 appearances. Did have a quality start last week against FAMU. 6 innings, 2 earned, a walk and 3 strikeouts. And then Kai Matthews Hampton is the Sunday guy. He is an Aussie. Fun fact about him.
Really?
6'3", 190, graduate right-hander, 7-point ERA in 22. 6 innings, no runs last week against Florida A&M. So we shall see. And I have no idea how hard any of these guys throw. So, if it's anything like Ja'Cory Boudreaux with Grambling, then the Hogs could be in for a rough first few innings.
Let me pull up my week-by-week picks because I did like a slight preview for like each team that Arkansas would face. Eastern Illinois picked to finish in the middle of the Ohio Valley Conference. Shortstop Chris Worcester and senior utility player Ryan Ignafo, both named preseason first team All OVC. So yeah, it doesn't seem like the pitching was anything to really worry about. But they do have some guys who can probably come in and hit the ball. So
Lincoln Riley, chief among them.
Yeah, Lincoln Riley. Do you have their stats pulled up?
Yeah, I do. Let me.
How did Worcester do?
Worcester.
It might be Worcester.
I'm gonna be real. I'm not seeing him.
He's not on there. Maybe he's hurt. What about Ryan Ignafo?
Ryan Ignafo. I noticed he was hitting third for them. He's hitting 1 for 9 with a run scored, 3 ribs.
All right.
Has walked 3 times, and has been hit twice. 2 sack flies.
Yeah, no, I mean Arkansas is going to kill him. We thought that was going to happen with Grambling though, so let's not go that far. Let's just say like Arkansas will likely sweep.
Likely, yes. I would say similar to my prediction last week. If they're going to lose one game, it'll be Saturday.
Yeah.
We need to acknowledge that I was right about that. By the way, we went around the room and Christian said they'd lose to Texas. You said they'd lose Sunday. I said they'd lose to TCU. So I'm gonna take a victory lap here.
I was the furthest off.
Yes, you were.
We might need to keep track of our predictions throughout the year.
Oh, so we're gonna do season predictions every week?
Series predictions.
We should, yeah. Just
Did I say season?
Yes, you did.
No. That's
I don't know, something like that. I'll figure something out.
That's fair. I mean, we can. So right now, okay, but we all said 2-1 though.
We did.
So are we gonna count? Are we gonna pick specific games?
Day by
One
day.
game or one scenario that we decide to
I think we do it day by day.
Day by day.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess I'm still 2-1. No, because I picked them to lose to Oklahoma State.
You're 1-2.
I guess, but I didn't. Oh, because they lost it. Okay, I'm 1-2. Not a math major. Okay.
Are we all saying sweep, by the way?
Yeah.
Did we land on that?
Yeah, they're gonna sweep them. The only non-conference teams that I have them losing to, of course, I had them losing 1 game in Arlington.
Mm-hmm.
I have them losing 1 game to Wright State next weekend. Wright State's a good baseball team, and I had them.
Tournament team last year, right?
Huh? Yeah.
Gave the Vols a scare in Knoxville.
Yep.
They, not in the postseason.
Maybe I'm thinking of 2 seasons ago.
Because they played in the Blacksburg regional. They lost to Virginia Tech and Gonzaga, but they put up runs against both teams. And then Louisiana Tech, I have them losing a game to Tech. By the way, that Friday game against Louisiana Tech not going to be on TV. I've had a lot of people text me about that. I literally posted a story about it when they announced the national television games. I had in the story they're not going to play a game. They're not going to televise the Friday game. Because there's other stuff. What, a gymnastics meet that day?
Maybe at Bud Walton, yeah.
Yeah, so just put that in the back of your head.
The issue is not the baseball team or the opponent, but simply the Razorbacks as an institution not being able to broadcast 2 games on the same day.
It's incredible that they can't do that. It's incredible that they can't televise a game in Little Rock. We are in the year 2023. You should be able to do that.
I know you have the financial capability.
They have the financial capabilities. They have the technological capabilities. They have all the cameras set up at the ballpark. Just put it on SEC Network Plus or whatever.
Or even have just some students out there do something. Just get some stream up.
You know what they're gonna have? They're gonna have replay on the video board. And it's if you can. They had replay for the basketball game against Rogers State and Bud Walton that they didn't put on TV. They had replay on the thing, and the basketball team was posting clips from the game.
The baseball team should just stream it on Twitter or something. Facebook.
Yeah.
It's lousy. I don't know how other
camera in center field, just the whole game.
Well, no, because they have the replay angles like that.
Yeah.
It can be done. They're just lazy.
I feel like they might figure something out before then. Cause
I don't think so. I think if they were planning on figuring something out,
It's 2023. This has been.
This program doesn't have every game streamed. Like, I know the Little Rock game. That's a problem. But
I mean that's your example of why they won't do it. They could take these things to Little Rock if they wanted. They won't. They could take it from baseball at Baum to Bud Walton at night because it's not even here.
they don't have to.
It's a 3:00 game.
They don't.
The gymnastics meet not till probably 6 or 7.
Yeah,
right?
gymnastics doesn't start till 7. It's not like they have to like take equipment from point A to point B. The equipment's already there. You know, like whatever.
bodies to do it.
We're not changing anything by talking about it.
True story. Onward.
Matt Morris State Farm. Let's remind you about Matt Morris State Farm. We are big fans of Matt Morris State Farm, and Matt Morris State Farm is a big fan of Razorback baseball. So if you want an insurance agent who you can just really connect with and, talk baseball and also get great rates with, Matt Morris State Farm is where you need to go. He provides auto insurance, home insurance, life insurance, all at a great rate so you can save money, use that money on things that you need other than insurance, because let's all be honest here, insurance is just annoying. But Matt Morris gets that. He's like, look, I understand. Let me save you a couple bucks. And so he's going to do that. You give him a call, 501-568-3222. Matt Morris, he's a great guy, great basketball player as well, from what I hear.
Great neighbor, if you will.
Yeah, he is your great neighbor. So give him a call, 501-568-3222. Thank you to Matt Morris State Farm.
Third base.
Yes, third base, Caleb Calley. So we heard from Dave Van Horn that he wanted to get Caleb Calley in against Grambling, and he did get in the field. He just didn't get the hit. And I'm going to be honest with you, I was a little disappointed in that. Like, no offense to Jason Jones whatsoever, great ball player.
I like watching him play.
I do. I felt like if there was any time to get Caleb Calley right, and I mean, it's only the 4th game of the season, but that was, it was a good opportunity, especially after his weekend last weekend.
It was, and with three games coming up, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I think he's got to play in at least 2 of them. Maybe he doesn't have to start 2, but I think he's got to make 2 appearances and make 2 appearances at the plate too. Not just another late game change like we saw on Tuesday.
Yeah.
We made the comparison to Braden Webb in 2022 on the last episode. I still think it rings true. Maybe he struggles some more to start, but the bottom line is, and again, I think I've said this before, he's a guy who's capable of leading the team in both strikeouts and OPS. So, I mean, that's a trade-off you'll take. You need to get him out there getting, live game reps.
Yeah. It's just so tough though. Like, this is something that I feel like we've talked about a lot off air. And I feel like Caleb Calley is just a guy that with his potential, with his talent, you want to get him in. He needs a slump buster, man. I think Eastern Illinois is the slump buster.
I mean, the bottom line is any of the Hogs opponents until Auburn, slump busters. Like, it could happen at any point. So
yeah,
my thinking is, ride it out with him. Let him struggle early. Let him figure it out before games start to matter. And then games will matter, and he'll be good. He'll be, as advertised.
All right. I don't really have much more to add, man. It's hard with this, non-conference stuff, Grambling, Eastern Illinois.
Well, especially early, too, because we don't really have a good sample size of stats. Like, normally I feel like we go up and down the lineup, but we have 3 games with which to work for Eastern Illinois.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to sweep this weekend. And I think this team surprised a little bit of people in Arlington, to be quite honest with you. Especially because there were so many people who hadn't really seen the team, didn't really know the names. Like, you could see a lot of people, reporters even, who were just, like, getting names wrong.
Right.
And so,
I mean, there's plenty of unknowns. Like if you hadn't paid attention since June, like there's reason for doubt. I get it. The 18 against Oklahoma State, that was eye popping though.
Twas. All right, Christian, you got your time. Go ahead.
I don't really have much today, but the guys that we think are going to show up are showing up early, which is good. Wagner, Diggs, Stovall. So
Slavens.
as long as they keep playing, like the rest of the team they'll figure it out. I think the Callie and Jones thing is going to be probably the thing that's going to be talked about most of the year.
Yeah.
Like it's going to go back and forth probably every weekend. Who's starting, who's not.
Slavens has a double in every game, right? I think he does. Robert, look through your scorebook. Hurry.
Yes, he does.
Slavens with a double in every game. On pace to have 55 doubles in the regular season.
How many games do they play? Is it 55?
I think it's 55.
Yeah.
I was about to say 162, but that wouldn't have been right.
Nope. Yeah. And, of course, our guy, Josenberger, he's getting on base for the brand.
Little 800 OBP on Tuesday. You love to see that.
Yeah. So
I have one more idea before we sign off here. Shall we?
Wait. Parker Rowland apparently is making a push to like play legit innings at catcher.
That is true.
Which I did not see coming.
I didn't either. I didn't think he was particularly impressive with handling the bat in the 2 games we've seen him. Let's see. Cumulative stats. Show me.
He wasn't impressive throwing down to second either.
He's going to hit 3 RBIs, right?
Oh, no. Roland. Hit 3 RBIs. How does he have 3 RBIs? What did I miss? Didn't he have a couple against Grambling?
Yeah, I believe so.
Sack. Or he had an RBI walk and a sack fly against Oklahoma State, and he had an RBI ground out against Grambling. So he has not had an RBI hit, but he has 3 RBIs. Nice. Roland is batting 167 so far. Polk is batting 125, so he does have the edge over Hudson Polk through 4 games. But the big difference that we heard from Dave Van Horn after the Grambling game is that Roland is receiving the ball better as a catcher, which was where the gap was in evaluating where those two are.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. I think I would expect Polk to be the starting catcher on Friday.
The thing is, you're facing 3 right-handed pitchers, provided that, I guess we should throw the disclaimer out there that we're just going on based on who pitched last week for EIU. If those guys are going to pitch again, you're facing 3 righties, you're probably going to want to see Parker Rowland in at least one of those games.
Yeah.
Because he can hit left-handed.
Switch hitter. Okay. That makes sense.
All right, I got one idea for you.
Okay.
Shall we do picks to click out of the bullpen? It cannot be Hagen Smith, Hunter Holland, Koty Frank, or Brady Tiger.
Well, Hagen Smith and Hunter Holland are going to come out of the bullpen.
Any pitcher at all.
Oh, so picks to click on the mound.
None of those 4 guys.
You have to use your words better.
You're right. I do.
Are you okay?
That really sent Christian.
I thought Christian was like throwing up.
Sorry.
All right, those 4 guys are off the board. Who are we going with?
Oh, man. You're really putting me on the spot here, aren't you?
Well, Christian can go first if he wants to.
Who was the Tiger, Smith, Holland, and
Frank?
Give me Adcock.
Cody Adcock.
I'll take.
There you have it.
Give me Dylan Carter.
Interesting.
Are you for real?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with my boy Sean Fitzpatrick.
2 freshmen, huh?
I think you will see the Sean Fitzpatrick that has the reporters buzzing this weekend.
Hey, I like Sean Fitzpatrick.
I want Dylan to have some good outings.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. No offense to Dylan Carter, I don't know how many innings he's gonna get.
He's gonna get him. It's gonna be this time of the year, though.
Yeah,
precisely.
No, against Eastern Illinois when they're up like 12-1, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. If that happens.
We have seen Dylan Carter throw 4 innings without giving up an earned run in a scrimmage this year. So
yeah,
stranger things have happened.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. Thank you to Matt Morris State Farm. Visit HawgBeat.com. Watch some Arkansas baseball this weekend. We'll have our weekend recap come out on Monday, and we'll talk to everybody then.
The Diamond Hawgs Podcast is the premier Razorback baseball podcast.
All right, we now welcome on Koty Frank to the show. He is a right-handed pitcher out of the bullpen for the Arkansas Razorbacks. Pitched 3 times in the first 4 games. Koty, welcome to the show. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. I appreciate having me on the show.
Yeah, you bet. I'm curious. You've seen a lot of game action so far in Fayetteville, Arlington as well. But what's it been like for you to have so much success during your first week as a Hog?
Yeah, I mean, it's really about just kind of going out there and being committed to whatever role I'm coming in to do, whether that's just a 1-inning relief appearance or to stabilize the game, kind of how I did on Tuesday. It's really just staying committed to the process and the preparation that I've put in leading up to whichever day I'm called out of the pen. So I would definitely say like just being prepared for the moment and then not really trying to get too big and just kind of trusting the work that I've put in.
Yeah, your role is actually pretty interesting. You know, we've seen you go multiple innings multiple times now, and yet Dave Van Horn the other day said you're a candidate for a guy to start if you need to step up. I'm curious, how do you feel about that? Yeah, I'm sure you did some of that at Nebraska, right?
Yeah, I had basically every role possible so far in my college career. In junior college, I was a starter, and then when I got to Nebraska, I was put in the bullpen as kind of basically the same role of like the bridge guy, but then could also go late in the game. I've closed a few games. So it's kind of nice because being like an older guy, I can kind of give insights to like the freshmen or whoever it may be of like how to prepare for a start, how to prepare for the bullpen role where you're coming in for multiple innings, how to prepare for a closed situation. So it's nice to be able to have experience in all 3 categories because I'm also like ready for whatever role it is, like if it's just coming in and say I'm throwing the 8th inning and setting up for Brady Tiger to come in and close or whoever it may be, or even I finish off that game, like I'm ready to do that. If they need a bridge guy or someone to come in and kind of settle the game down and stabilize it, like I'm ready to do that. If they need a spot start or like a conference start or something, I'm definitely ready to do that. It's just kind of whatever Coach Van Horn and Coach Hobbs need out of me, like I'm ready to do it all.
You mentioned Brady Tiger. Let's talk about him for a second. You've turned things over to him a couple times so far this season. I'm curious, what has that been like for you as far as your confidence goes? I know that we've had Hagen Smith and Tavian Josenberger on the record talking about, they basically know the game's over when he takes the mound.
Absolutely. I mean, like after Texas, I come in and throw the wild pitch to score the run, and like that's a tough one to chew on. But then next thing I go out there, get a quick out, and I'm rolling. And then it's like single. Okay, like I can kind of get around that. And then I give up another single on a good pitch. And now you're first and second, one out, and the tying runs on second. And like in my head, I'm not worried. I'm worried about the next hitter, the next pitch. Like I'm still preparing. I'm not thinking, what if I get pulled or anything like that. I'm still ready to go for the next hitter. But then like when I see DVH coming out to pull me and I see Brady Tiger coming in, like there's just no worry to it. It's just one of those like safeguard feelings of like, okay, like the game is still easily in control. Like we got a freshman All-American coming in and like, he's a big strikeout guy, like can strike out anyone in the country. And so you're not even worried about like, if the run's going to get given up, like you got full confidence in Brady coming in after you. And then for the Tuesday game, same thing, like I kind of stabilized the game, allowed our offense kind of get back on their feet and be able to make a comeback. And then once you turn it over to Brady for the last 2 innings or however many through, it's like, yeah, it's the feeling of this game's over.
So Tuesday was not your first time pitching a bomb. You fans probably remember you from Nebraska in 2021. Curious what you remember about that weekend, and then maybe how much of a role that played in your decision to transfer to Arkansas.
Yeah, I mean, playing here on the opposing side, it's very intimidating. You're coming into an extremely hostile environment where you're having 10,000 plus fans like rooting against you. And like for me, I've never had that happen. I've never got to play in that big of an atmosphere. But even being here and like when I did throw here in the regional, it was just like one of those experiences that I would never forget, even if I weren't to transfer here. Like I remember talking about that, this summer, that same summer, whenever we were here, is like as crazy as it was, it's something I would remember forever. And then obviously when I enter the portal and Arkansas is showing me interest, like that stuff is kind of like playing into the decision a little bit of like the fan base and like just how bought in they are to you and how much they're going to back you up and cheer for you and pull for your success. Like it's honestly a really big thing in college baseball is to have a great fan base behind you. It feels really good.
Curious about you as a pitcher. We've heard from Jace Borf and Peyton Stovall. They talk about how you're not the hardest throwing guy in the world, but you could spot up incredibly well. Baseball today, it's all about the flashy, upper 90s gas throwing guys, but you're not necessarily one of them. How do you deal with that? And what is it like for you to be, a crafty righty, so to speak?
Yeah. I'll be honest, it's challenging sometimes to not go out there and like see how hard I can throw, because again, like that's the flashy stuff that everyone likes to see is people throwing 95 plus, that's as a pitcher, that's what you want to be able to do. It's just, unfortunately, I'm not to that point yet. Maybe I get to that point, but as of now, like where my game plays is being that crafty righty, like 2-0 count. And I'm not like the typical pitcher to just throw a fastball. Like I'm going to throw you a changeup. I'm going to throw you a slider and a hitter's count. And that's just something that hitters sometimes don't really expect. But for me, like I have less room of error because I don't throw as hard. So where I have to make up to it is being able to beat them at the mental game and the pitchability game and being able to locate to almost pitch for that soft contact. I can get the strikeout if I need it or if the opportunity presents itself, but I'm not the pitcher to be able to come in and just punch everyone out left and right.
How much of, expressing that like comes up when you're building chemistry with your new battery mates? I know with these two, Hudson Polk and Parker Rowland in particular, you've all got ties to the state of Oklahoma, so maybe that helps a little bit. But how's it been for you to build chemistry with those guys back there?
It's definitely interesting because again, like I don't pitch like a typical pitcher. So really for them, it's more of kind of reading my mind and getting into my mind of what I'm thinking as far as like what pitch I want to throw here. Cause like, again, I'm not just going to give you your typical fastball. Like I would almost prefer an off speed pitch or, whatever it may be. So I know early on with both of them, they actually did struggle catching me only on the pitch calling side. Both of them have came up to me multiple times, like after practices saying like, hey, we need to get on the same page. Cause there's times I'm sitting up there just shaking left and right. They just couldn't figure out what pitch I wanted. And then like another big aspect to it is, and I've talked to Parker about this a lot, is like just kind of reviewing the game and reviewing the outing afterwards and just talking to them, like if they called a pitch and I shook it, talking to them, getting their feedback of, hey, like, why did you want to throw that pitch there? And then like, I would give my side of like, okay, well, here's why I threw this pitch. One of the best examples was on Tuesday, Parker was catching me and we had an AB guy kept fouling it off. And I eventually shook to a pitch and threw it and he fouled it off. And then I told him what my plan was, like, or actually, I think I may have gotten him on that pitch, but I was like telling him, how I wanted to set up with that pitch. And I mentioned like, if he would have fouled it off, like I was going to go here with it. And like me and him just kind of got on the same page there of just setting up for the next pitch. Cause like, again, with the whole pitch clock thing, like you can't just sit up there and just shake and shake and shake and shake. Cause it's just burning time.
Yeah, talk about the pitch clock for a minute. I mean, that was a surprise, I think, for everybody in Texas. We got some pretty honest opinions from Dave Van Horn about it after I think it was the TCU game. But I mean, that's got to be a pretty big adjustment to make.
Yeah, it is. If you're not used to it, for me personally, like I've always worked quick. I've always just like got the ball, got back on the rubber, like ready for the next pitch. There is like times where you do need to kind of compose and take a breath and then get back on the rubber. I don't have like a super huge problem with the pitch clock. I'm not going to agree or disagree on it. The one issue that I do have with it would say with like a runner on, I just think there needs to be a little bit more time with a runner on. But I mean, other than that, for me personally, it hasn't really affected me too much just because I'm used to that like up tempo working pace.
I got you. So, shifting topics for a minute. On the way to and from Arlington, Texas, where you guys just were, you'll pass through your hometown of Tushka, Oklahoma. I remember I and a few other reporters were on our way to cover the A&M football game in the fall, and we saw the sign and we're like, that's where Koty Frank's from. Where's the statue? Do you have one of those coming your way anytime soon?
I don't think so. I would definitely have to talk to the superintendent about it if it was going to happen. But as far as my knowledge, I don't think there's going to be a statue of me at some point.
Are there any other famous athletes that have come out of Tushka?
To my knowledge, there has not been.
Gotcha. So I've asked you a lot of baseball questions. Let's transition here. Who is Koty Frank off the field? What do we need to know about you as a person rather than a pitcher?
For me as a person, the way I would describe myself is just kind of laid back. I don't really like to go out and do a whole lot. I just kind of like to chill. If there's a game on, I'll watch the game, whether it be football or baseball. Just kind of like relaxing. I do like to play video games, I will admit. But as far as like outside of baseball, I like to chill. I've had Parker Rowland over at my apartment before, and we just kind of hung out and like discussed, baseball or even football or whatever it may be. So yeah, I don't really do a whole lot, if I'm being quite honest.
A lot of the guys we have on here talk about, they love to play golf. Are you a big golfer at all?
I'm actually not. Every time I've tried to golf, I don't know why. It's definitely something with the swing. I can't ever get it down. I'm slicing balls into trees, and then that frustrates me. So, I mean, I'll go and hang out at the golf course if I got some buddies going and playing. I love like camaraderie. I love hanging out with, my friends and teammates, and I have a great time. It's just golf isn't really for me. I just get too frustrated.
I gotcha. If you were going to go with 3 other players on the team this year, who would you go with?
I'd probably say Cody Adcock, Parker Rowland, and probably Hagen Smith.
Why is that?
There's guys that I'm pretty close with. Every time I'm at the field and see them, I'm always having a conversation with them, it feels like. And like with Cody, he's always talking to me. He's always kind of hyping me up per se. And then I do the same thing back to him. We lift together. So there's like the joking around side of it where we can kind of mess around in the locker room or wherever we may be. And then like in the weight room, we typically try to lift together because we know how to push each other and really get the most out of the workout for that day. So I'm pretty close to him. And then with Parker, I mean, like he's a catcher. I spend a lot of time with him. We got very mutual ties with the junior college that we came from. And me and him are both like extremely competitive guys. And I think that all began where we came from, and Coach Parker instilled that same ideology into both of us and got us to where we are today now. And then Hagen, like he's just a great guy to be around. Seems like he always has a smile on his face until it's Friday night and he's ready to go on the bump. But other than that, like he's just a great guy. I love talking to him. And yeah.
Cody Adcock seems like he's having fun all the time. I remember during scrimmages, one of the reporters who showed up, one of our favorite things was, when somebody would strike out and he'd go, "See ya."
Yeah. He likes to talk a little smack to the hitters. But at the same time, like the hitters have the understanding that he's pulling for them and their success. It's not that he doesn't like that specific hitter or whatever, has any beef with them. It's just kind of those competitive juices flowing a little bit. He's pulling for his fellow staff member. But again, like, they'll go back into the locker room and they'll be laughing together and just kind of cracking jokes at each other. So, like, he's just an overall great teammate.
Here's another oddball for you. We had Chris Lanzilli on the podcast last year, and he's a Boston guy, right? So he was telling us about a job he had at Fenway Park. He was an alcohol security supervisor at the age of, I don't know, 16. He definitely wasn't 21. I don't think he was 18 either. Have you had any jobs like that, or anything worth mentioning?
Not yet. I have not. Haven't really had too many jobs in my life just because baseball has been eating up all the free time. But I can't say I have had any interesting jobs like him. Gotcha.
Now, going back to the hitters for a minute, I'm curious, who do you think is there can be multiple answers to this, but who's the hardest guy on the team to face? I know you got a healthy dose of them over the last several months.
Yeah, like you said, you can't really narrow it down to one. I mean, there's multiple, but the first one that comes to my mind, and the guy who gave me fits every time I faced him, was Jared Wagner. Like, that's a veteran hitter. He's seen a lot of baseball, and there's been, I know for a fact I faced him twice and got him 0-2 real quick, and then the at-bat ended in a walk. And it's not like a bad walk either on my end where the pitch isn't even close. It's like full count. I'm throwing a pitcher's pitch that he could easily swing and miss at, and he just takes it and takes his walk. So he's a hard hitter to get out. Stovall, he's a hard hitter too. He's a experienced SEC hitter. Every time you face him, you have to keep it in the back of your mind of, if I make a mistake to this guy, he will do some damage to it. That doesn't mean you got to pitch to him scared, but you just have to know, you kind of have to be on your A game with a guy like him at the dish. Caleb Cali too, man. I faced him early in the fall, and he was one of those guys early on that it was just what do you throw this guy? How do you throw him? And then I would probably say my last one would be, I'd probably say John Bolton, honestly, because he's starting off. I kind of had his number, but then later on, he just changed. When we got back, I was throwing against him, and I'm throwing him great pitches, and he's putting good swings on them. He's taking them. There was one time I did make a mistake to him, and he hit a line drive back up the middle. And he's just, again, he's an older hitter. He's just kind of one of those guys. He's seen a lot of baseball. So you kind of have to be a little bit more on top of your game with a guy like that. I got you. Going back to Wegner for a minute, I'm sure, based on what you said, you weren't surprised to see his success this first weekend. I'm curious about the nickname Pops. What goes into that? Is it just because he's older than everyone else? Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's because he's an old man. That's not really saying much coming from me, but yeah, we call him Pops because he's an old man. And then you could also go to the extent of when he hits the ball, it's pretty hard. In Arlington, I think the lowest ball he hit that was in play was 97 or something, which is just crazy. He's just a grown man. So I would say definitely the origin of the nickname Pops for him definitely came from him just being an old man. Gotcha. All right, so this is the last thing I got written down here, but you've got Eastern Illinois in town this weekend. The competition between them and Grambling, it's a bit of a drop off from what you saw over the weekend in Texas. Dave talked about Tuesday against Grambling being a trap game. It was a recipe for a letdown, but you guys overcame it. I'm curious, what do you guys have to do mentally to prepare for a team that is not, at the level of what you saw to start things off? Yeah, it's definitely it's kind of a hard change going from, Texas, TCU, and Oklahoma State to Grambling and Eastern Illinois. But they're also teams that if you take them lightly, like they can easily beat you. And we kind of saw that on Tuesday. And like Coach Van Horn mentioned, it was kind of a trap game. If you don't come out ready to play and you let them hang around, eventually you look up and they beat you. Kind of same thing applies with Eastern Illinois, like they can't hang with us talent level wise. And I know Coach Van Horn talked to us today in practice. We can't allow ourselves to play down to their level. Like if we're up here and they're down here, we got to play up here. We still got to play to the best of our abilities. We can't let any outside factors dictate it, whether we're playing Eastern Illinois or LSU, it doesn't matter. And Coach Hobbs kind of followed up on that in the scouting report meeting on the pitching side of things is like, you can't go out there and have the mindset of what if the pitch doesn't work or what if the pitch gets hit. You have to have the mindset of like, what if I go out there and like, I'm the dude and like, I'm executing pitches and like, there's no like fear factor to it. I'm going to go out there. Like I'm going to be committed to these pitches. I'm going to make them. So yeah, it's definitely just kind of getting back on track of playing to our level into the game that we're capable of playing. And then on the pitching side, just going out there and, just throwing your best stuff and like, here it is, like make them hit it kind of feeling.
Well, there you have it, folks. Koty Frank's keys to victory this weekend against Eastern Illinois. You got the Hogs and the Panthers coming up at 2:00 Friday at Baum-Walker Stadium. We'll see you there. Koty, thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, thanks again for having me. I really appreciate that.
You bet.
You've been listening to the Diamond Hawgs Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Choate Mason and at drstew32.